Have you ever wondered what it truly took to become human? I don't just mean standing upright. I mean the real grit, the struggle, the sacrifices that transformed scattered, vulnerable individuals into the powerful, cooperative tribes that would one day inherit the earth. Today, we're journeying back millions of years, far beyond recorded history, to uncover the epic story of our earliest ancestors. This isn't just about bones and stones. It's about the birth of the human spirit. Let's rewind the clock. Way back. Imagine a world you wouldn't recognize. The air is different. The plants are strange. And lurking in the shadows are predators, far fiercer than anything we know today. Here, on the vast savannas of Africa, our story begins with early hominids like us. They were small, not much bigger than a chimpanzee, and they were prey. Life was a constant, terrifying battle for survival. Every sunrise was a victory. Every sunset, a new wave of fear. Their world was one of immediate, brutal reality. Finding food, avoiding being food, that was the entire game. There was no room for complex thoughts, only pure, raw instinct. But something remarkable was happening. These early ancestors weren't just surviving. They were adapting, walking on two legs. A monumental shift freed their hands. At first, this was a simple advantage of carrying food, holding a rock for defense, or carrying their young. But this seemingly small change was the first domino to fall in a chain reaction that would reshape the planet. It allowed them to see over the tall grass, to spot danger from farther away, and to travel more efficiently. It was the first sacrifice. In a way, they traded the speed and safety of climbing trees for a new, uncertain life on the ground. A risky bet that, as we know, paid off spectacularly. As we move forward in time, we meet Homo habilis, the handyman. This is where things get really interesting. Their brains were larger, and they began to do something revolutionary. They intentionally shaped stones into tools. Picture this, one of our ancestors, sitting by a riverbed, striking one rock against another. Not randomly, but with purpose. They're crafting a sharp edge, a chopper. This wasn't just a tool. It was an idea brought to life. It was the dawn of technology. These simple choppers could smash bones to get to the nutrient-rich marrow, a food source previously locked away. They could butcher carcasses left behind by larger predators, giving them a vital edge. This leap wasn't just about getting more calories. It was about problem-solving. It was about seeing the potential hidden within a simple stone. This new ability required teaching and learning. A more experienced individual had to show a younger one the right angle, the right force. This was the beginning of shared knowledge, the first flicker of culture being passed down from one generation to the next. Then came Homo erectus, the upright man, and the game changed forever. Taller, stronger, with an even bigger brain. Homo erectus was a true pioneer. They didn't just stay in Africa. They ventured out, spreading across Asia and Europe. But their greatest achievement, the one that truly set the stage for humanity as we know it, was the harnessing of fire. Can you even imagine the first time they controlled it? Fire wasn't just a new tool. It was a force of nature brought to heel. Suddenly, the terrifying darkness of the night was pushed back by a warm, protective glow. Predators that had hunted them for millennia now kept their distance. Fire provided warmth in the cold, a way to cook food. Cooking was a game changer. It made food easier to digest and unlocked more energy, which in turn fueled the growth of their increasingly complex brains. It also created a social center. For the first time, our ancestors had a hearth, a place to gather, to share food, to be safe. It was around these ancient campfires that the first real communities were forged. This is where the concept of the tribe truly begins to solidify. Life was still incredibly hard. A lone individual was a dead individual. Survival depended on the group. But living in a group isn't easy. It requires rules, cooperation, an immense personal sacrifice. Think about a hunt. To take down a large animal, a mammoth or a giant deer, required a level of coordination that was unheard of in the animal kingdom. It needed planning, communication, and trust. Each hunter had a role. Some would drive the animal, others would corner it, and a brave few would go in for the final, dangerous strike. If one person failed, everyone starved. If one person was too greedy, the group would collapse. They had to learn to trust each other with their lives. This trust was built on sacrifice. Imagine a successful hunt. The strongest hunter, the one who made the kill, could have easily kept the best parts for himself, but he didn't. He shared, because he knew that next week he might be the one who gets injured, and his survival would depend on the generosity of others. This is the birth of reciprocity, the fundamental idea of, I help you now, you help me later. This wasn't a formal contract. It was a deeply ingrained social instinct. They were building social capital, a web of obligations and trust that held the tribe together. Sharing food was perhaps the most important sacrifice. It was a declaration that the group's survival was more important than any single individual's immediate satisfaction. And what about caring for the weak and the sick? Fossil records show us something incredible. Evidence of individuals who lived 4 years with debilitating injuries or old age. An early human with a broken leg who couldn't hunt, or an elder who had lost all their teeth and couldn't chew tough meat. In a purely survival of the fittest world, these individuals would have been left behind, but they weren't. Their tribe cared for them. Others hunted for them, protected them, maybe even chewed food for them. This is empathy. This is compassion, written in the fossil record. Why would they do this? Because an elder, even one who couldn't hunt, held the most valuable resource of all: knowledge. They were the tribe's living library. They knew where to find water in a drought, which plants were medicinal, how to read the seasons, and the stories of the ancestors. Sacrificing resources to keep them alive was an investment in the tribe's collective memory and future survival. The formation of these first tribes was the single most important step in our evolution. It created a protective bubble, a social womb in which our brains could continue to grow, where language could develop, and where complex culture could blossom. Inside the tribe, you weren't just an individual struggling against the world. You were part of something larger. You had a role, a purpose. You had allies. This new social structure allowed for specialization. While some hunted, others could be gathering plants, making tools, or caring for the young. This division of labor made the entire group far more efficient and resilient. So when we look back at our ancient ancestors, let's not just see primitive figures. Let's see the heroes of an epic story. They were explorers who braved unknown lands. They were innovators who turned rock into technology. They were social pioneers who built communities out of chaos. And most of all, they were individuals who learned to sacrifice their own immediate needs for the good of the group. Every time we cooperate on a project, every time we share a meal with friends, every time we care for a loved one, we are echoing the struggles and sacrifices of these first human tribes. They laid the foundation, not with bricks and mortar, but with trust, cooperation, and empathy. And that is a legacy worth remembering. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into our shared human story. Let me know in the comments what part of our ancient history you find most inspiring. Until next time, stay curious.